Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of entitled people. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and as usual, it's time to check out some more Reddit posts. So be sure to subscribe for more, and let's get into it, guys. Steal a beer? Go to hospital. Couple of nights ago, I'm working as security supervisor at a nightclub. This joint is a busy one, but relatively little to no trouble as it's a niche crowd. Unfortunately, as it's the latest license in the area, we do get an influx of people around 3 a.m. that we have to screen for entry, as near all of them are not our core clientele. Some of them do slip through though, and as such, the last half of the shift is invariably dealing with these people that don't abide by a strict patron code of conduct, thinking it's a normal nightclub. Anyway, the owner calls me up to the CCTV room. He's a pretty hands-on bloke like me, and points to one of the screens. Clearly seen as some damn hipster leaning over a closed bar and helping himself to a tap beer about 10 minutes ago, whilst his girlfriend watched him laughing. He was wearing a pretty distinctive jumper, as such was easily spotted in another area. So my enforcer and I go for a chat. Roll up on the hipster, tell him he is to leave immediately. He's cool with it, as he was well into his cups and stoned out of his head. But I've only had 3 beers. Side note, never say this to a bouncer. 3 beers is always the default number people go to when they are lying about their intake, but asks why anyway. We inform him about his theft. He starts denying it. I pull my phone up, show him the recording I had made off the screen upstairs, so he promptly shuts his mouth. He dug his heels in at the door, so we had to re-educate him on how to move forward. He's kicking a stink up when a devious little thought popped up. "Mate, do you or have you ever worked in a bar?" I ask. "That's none of your business," he said. "True, but it's relevant for my next question. Do you know what tap line cleaner is?" I said. "What?" he responds. "The reason that bar was closed is because we were running a chemical through the lines to clean them. They were hooked back up to the beer afterwards, but weren't flushed clean. That beer you poured was probably at least 1/3 glycol, or 1/10 hydrogen peroxide, depending on which line they were cleaning. Do you know what that does to your body, mate?" I said. "No." His girlfriend is paying real close attention now, instead of harping on at my doorman. "Well, it'll start shutting down your renal system as it starts messing you up internally, making it seem like you are getting really drunk real quick, cause your system is fighting the poison instead of processing and breaking down the alcohol. It's not pleasant to experience in say 4 hours or so, as you essentially just drank a toxic substance. I would recommend going to the hospital, right now," I said. Fun fact, alcohol is a toxin as well, hence why the term intoxicated is used when under its influence. "You're full of it," he says. I shrug. "Think what you want, mate." Although, I look over to his girlfriend. "Do you really want to risk it? Again, get to a hospital. I'll call an ambulance if you like." I turn to walk back inside. My doorman plays along. "You want me to make the call for him, Gov, or leave it to them?" I turn and look at him. Probably should call 000. He's already starting to look a bit off. Well, the girlfriend starts panicking as I walk through the door. Second I'm through, I race back up to the control room, let the owner know what's happening. Quick check on the radio to ensure all posts are covered in my absence, whilst he tees up the front door cameras. Cameras up. The guy's across the road making himself vomit. Girlfriend is crying on the phone. They both jump in a cab a few minutes later, speed off in the same direction as a nearby hospital. This was all around 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Anyone who works in a hospital knows that because of this, they would be in the waiting room for a long time before being seen. Enjoy the rest of your night, you thieving douchebag hipsters. And just for clarity, yeah, OP was bluffing. The guy didn't actually poison himself. He confirms here in the comments. Someone asked here, "Shall I go out on a limb and guess that no part of the story you told him was true?" And OP says the poisoning effects are completely true. However, the line had been cleaned and flushed already. It's just being a busy night, the bartenders jumped straight over to the main bar without taking the taps off. So this guy must have made the visit to the emergency room just to be told, "Yeah, no, he's not poisoned or anything, just drunk." Boss level Karen. For context, OP works at a hotel. I am a proud nightwalker. I work audit with the hopes that Karens will be tucked in their beds at night and I won't have to deal with them. That night was not last night. 11:30 p.m. I'm getting into my groove, doing all the pre-audit stuff. Karen comes up to the desk to check in, and immediately sticks her cell phone in my face. She took pictures of all the license plates of cars parked in the electric vehicle spots. We have very limited parking, all of which is first come first serve. She goes off. "These vehicles are unauthorized," she shrieks. I calmly explain first come first serve, limited parking, etc., but that I can get an electric vehicle spot for her in about 10 minutes. We try to have employees park in those spots for exactly this situation. That way we can easily move our cars to accommodate people with electric ones. Karen was not happy with this answer. She demanded all the cars that were not electric vehicles be moved because they were not authorized. Again, I explained they were authorized. They were registered guests and employees, but that I will let her know once my security guard moved his car so she could take that space. Fast forward to 5 minutes later, she calls me from her room. I was just about to call to let her know the space was waiting for her, and we put a cone there to prevent anyone else from parking there until she was able to move her car. She straight up called a tow company to tow 7 cars. The tow company told her no, that she was unauthorized to have any vehicles towed, and that we, the hotel, would have to call for tow service. So she screamed at me, demanding I call the tow company back and authorize having those cars towed immediately. I explained that I will not be doing that. Those cars were legally parked on our property, and that there is a reserved electric vehicle spot for her available to move into immediately. She starts screaming at me again that she's not moving her car, and that she will go to a fast charger in the morning and send us a bill. So I said I understand, and that if she'd like, she can call during business hours when a manager would be available. Kicker to the story is that the next day, she registered a complaint about me on the chain's website, literally said that I didn't care enough about her problems. My manager asked me about the situation, and I said, well, it's not a lie. I didn't care in the way she wanted me to. I cared enough to have a space made for her to be able to charge her car. I didn't care enough to have 7 cars towed because she felt they were unauthorized. Is this like boss level Karen? Because it sure felt like it. She really does have a bit of a false sense of authority about all this, doesn't she? Just any random person has absolutely no right to try to get a car towed off of a private business, as it is considered private property. It's only up to the business's discretion to decide who is and isn't authorized to park. But this Karen apparently seemed to think she was the queen of electric vehicle parking, and actually had the power to tow an entire fleet of vehicles. Petty revenge is a dish best served cold? No, best when it's self-served. I've had a lot of issues for years with one of my neighbors parking their cars on my driveway. To be very accurate, it's not their cars, but people visiting them, typically family. His father in particular is very annoying, and also particularly indifferent to my complaints. The neighbor himself is actually okay, and we get on well enough. My driveway is wide. It can fit 4 cars easy, 6 cars if you pack them. So I guess the size of unused real estate was tempting, considering how lazy people are. They can park their cars about 60 yards away in a small parking area. Last year in particular, my neighbor's father would park there at any time, for any reason, even when I was home. He is getting old, around 75, but he isn't senile, so this is just pure belligerent behavior. Calling the police isn't helpful, they won't do much. He's just an old man, it's private property, we can't tow the car, you have to get it towed at your cost, etc. In general, this isn't a problem they are very interested in, and I am not keen to really push it that far. He parks there because it's a shorter walk, and it's how we did things in the old days. Well, last year crossed some lines, so I did get a sliding gate installed this year. It's a really solid one, commercial grade, on rails and with steel bars. I didn't really want this gate, but given my driveway is quite wide, this is the only one they had in stock, and waiting for the right one would take weeks, and I was just about done with the constant annoyance. In fairness, whenever I'd call or text my neighbor, they'd come and move the cars, but it was annoying as hell. Well, it's Christmas 2022, and we went to visit friends. Last year they were at our place, so this time it's their turn. But I did forget to close the gate. Well, one thing worth mentioning is that there is a switch on the wall. The switch closes the gate. You push it, it closes, but it won't open it. To open it, you need the key, the remote, or to open it from inside the house with the code. And it's December, so it gets dark around 4:45 p.m. Around 5 p.m., I get a message from my neighbor. Actually, I get about 10, and then a call. He is in a panic. I checked my video system to see what was going on. What I see there is absolutely glorious in its splendor. His father parked there about 2 p.m. Then around 3 p.m. some other family members came in 2 cars. Around 5 p.m. it's dark outside and a 4th car with guests pulled in. And obviously, looking for a light, someone pushed that button, and the gate closed. We won't be back until Tuesday. The phone call was hefty, but I just had to be direct and tell them they knew not to park there, and they did so anyway. Probably one of them will make the 4-hour drive to where we are now to pick up one remote and then drive 4 hours back on Christmas Day. I don't even know if this is revenge, as they did absolutely everything by themselves, but it sure feels revenge-like to me right now. Edit. I've had a phone call with the neighbor, but not the dad just now, and it seems that he too has been incredibly frustrated and had more than one fight with his father in particular. It's he who gets my messages or calls, but it's his family who does the parking. Last night, he refused to give them a lift home, forcing them to order a taxi, which is quite hard here as we're in the boonies and it's Christmas. He now hopes that this finally teaches them to cut it out and walk the 50 yards from the shared parking to his house. For those who said to refuse to budge, it's tempting, but this is a rural community. I don't want to be the a-hole and have people in the local restaurants refer to me as the guy who called the cops on an old man, or denied people access to their cars in a rural area for 4 days. It just won't sit well. They will get the remote, but they have to come to me, and my neighbor will give it back. People can be dumb, but they are not so as to turn a minor and petty squabble into a full-blown neighborhood war. The doctor I worked for paid hundreds of dollars to eat dinner leftovers. I worked for an orthopedic surgeon who constantly ate people's lunches and would leave $10 on the fridge. He really loved leftover home-cooked meals. I don't get lunches off. I have to work to keep paying your salary. You can go buy another lunch, he would say. I hated him so much, but I got paid a lot. He was fresh out of his internship and residency, and he thought he was above everyone. We complained to the office manager. She went to the doctor and said we were all pissed about it. The doctor told her to deal with it. If the doctor decided to eat one of our lunches, we could have the office manager just order us something. This was amazing. There were 2 people besides me that had family and kids, so we always brought leftovers. If he ate my food, I ordered from the most expensive steak place in town. Appetizers, 22-ounce steak, 3 sides, a salad, and dessert. I'd eat the salad and the rest went home. And of course, there are plenty of leftovers to take to work the next day. The rest of the staff was doing the same, ordering full chickens, 4 to 5 different Chinese dishes, spending hundreds of dollars to replace stolen meatloaf sandwiches and day-old soups and spaghetti. The office manager went along with it. After all, he said we could order what we wanted if he took our lunch. It went on for 2 months until Dickhead Doc caught on. From then on, he had the office manager order him a lunch. I did miss trading off a cold pork chop and Spanish rice for prime rib and all the fixings. Well, that is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed, and also subscribe to the channel for more. So have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.